Well, it's been just shy of 2 weeks since Sims 4 Enchanted by Nature came out, and while it's relatively quiet in the Sims community, some rather interesting reviews are continuing to pour in. Now, I myself actually did run two different polls. One was on my community tab on YouTube, and one was on Twitter. And this is always interesting because the Twitter polls tend to lean more positive, and just the opposite for my channel. I don't know what that says about my channel, but I do want to show you this discrepancy. The question was, after playing Sims 4 Enchanted by Nature, do you think it is? And the options are one of the best EPs for Sims 4, above average, average, and below average. Now note, this is all based upon in the context of Sims 4, not all Sims packs overall. And as you can see from these results, there was not very much positive reception for this pack on my channel. I think that sample bias is always important to consider, but a whopping 50% of the respondents said it was below average or one of the worst. And keep in mind, this was supposedly just for people who have played and bought the expansion pack. But as you'll see right now, the poll on Twitter was quite different. Because in comparison on Twitter, 41% said it was an average pack, 30% said it was above average, and just 21% said below average. However, we also need to consider that we got very few votes on Twitter, just 155, and on my YouTube community tab, I had over 1,000 votes. Again, not very big polls, but it was the best I could do, and this is very interesting. So what I'm getting from this is, while some people do feel pretty negatively towards this pack, overall it just seems like a mixed reaction. And I did get some insight from players, and then also we're going to see how this aligns with critical reviews. It's a new life state with a full skill tree, 2 new full skills, new crafting options, 2 new gameplay mechanics for new traits, and decent build buy and cast options. By Sims 4 standards, it's a solid pack. I'd say it's slightly above average. Meanwhile, this person says it's good. I just feel like I went through all the gameplay really fast. However, there are people that are even bigger advocates for it. I've had a lot of fun with it, and it lets me play the game in drastically different ways. In my opinion, I have to go out of the way to use its features, but I do like it. On my channel, however, the reactions of course were different. I wanted to get just a few of these comments in here. I ended up caving because I wanted fairies, as well as the world, and I think those parts are well done. However, other elements feel recycled like ailments or pointless like luck and balance. Overall, it's not a bad pack by Sims 4 standards, just average. For me personally, spellcasters and fairies are my favorite, and so Realm of Magic and Enchanted by Nature are my top favorite packs for The Sims 4 overall. And so it sounds like this person really likes the occults, but they also said they love playing Rags to Riches and they think the new gameplay is good for that. Which of course we did have a debate on my channel about that. Some people feel it is good for Rags to Riches, while other people feel it takes away some of the challenge. Slightly above average in my opinion. First occult pack I actually care for simply because the focus isn't only on occults, but also I'm not the happiest with the color scheme of cast and build by. This is interesting because, like I said, I did think the team was trying to go for a more expansive appeal, maybe 2 differing results. I personally would have preferred a game pack, but it does make sense if you don't like occults at all. Yes, this does offer, technically speaking, some other features. Now, it is time though to see how this syncs with some critical reviews. This critical review is really interesting because it looks like it's a good pack based upon the score. However, the cons are pretty interesting too. Enchanted by Nature is special in how it finally introduces fairies to The Sims 4. You easily step into the wondrous world, which is full of things to do, lore to uncover, and nature. You really feel like you're a part of the fairy community, surrounded by mysticism and outstanding build mode in Create a Sim. Now I will say I definitely disagree with Create a Sim. I love the customization, but as I said many times, I think this Create a Sim is actually very weak. However, they say this pack falls flat in a lot of other areas too, mainly its gameplay. The gameplay may feel lackluster and even risk becoming annoying in the long term, which I think we have seen with ailments. I feel like a lot of potential was lost here, but overall I'm satisfied. So this is just really confusing because to me, gameplay is the most important thing in a pack. They did give it a 70 out of 100, but it sounded more critical than positive. For the pros, they did say that fairy and nature core build mode was great, beautiful and enchanting clothing, again I don't agree, and an amazing world. However, the cons are overall lackluster gameplay, houseplants, balance, and luck are all annoying, aspirations are not fulfilling, and plant sims give it really nothing. So honestly, it's just weird. You always have to look beyond the score. The score alone doesn't really tell you if it's going to be a good pack for you or not. The next review, Enchanted by Nature kicks The Sims 4 wackiness up a notch in all aspects, while not feeling too overbearing. And even though fairies in the new world are perfectly fine, they might not blow Simmers away. Where the pack really shines is its new natural living skill, enchanted gnomes, and new items like the living houseplants. What's interesting here is they're basically saying the opposite. They're saying that fairies aren't actually that great, and the natural living skill is the highlight. They're all standouts of the pack, and while it's not going to be worth getting this DLC for one of those alone, there's a big chunk of content on offer for every Simmer. Also awarding it a 70, GameLiner said, The Sims 4 Enchanted by Nature is atmospheric with strong occult gameplay and beautifully designed fairies. However, its execution feels unbalanced. While the magical elements shine, the nature aspect falls flat, so essentially saying the exact opposite of the last review. Fantasy and fairy fans will find plenty to enjoy, but those expecting a true nature-focused experience may be left wanting. And I think this next review really echoes some of those same themes. Even though they give it a 75, they feel that the pack is really lacking cohesion. Enchanted by Nature could have benefited from a bit less enchantment and a bit more nature. Sometimes it feels like the central pillar of the pack was supposed to be fairies, and then everything was built around them to include non-fairy Sims. Now, I do agree with this. I think that is how the pack feels. However, I would say it should have been a game pack and they should have leaned more into the fairies and fantastical, not less. I do understand they wanted to appeal broadly to Simmers, but I just feel like the other elements feel like they were added on, and it sounds like they wanted to see them built up more. That said, however, some of the most positive reviews basically make it sound like it is actually a very balanced pack. Enchanted by Nature is an excellent and welcome addition to the ever-growing collection of expansion packs. It offers an abundance of activities and gameplay that will make obtaining this pack worthwhile. Those who enjoy nature-based gameplay and are looking for a new occult and active career to play with will especially embrace it. It's hard to fault this expansion pack, as fairies have long awaited and demanded by fans. They hopefully will not be disappointed. Curiously, the most positive review, which is by GameSpot, sounds like they are somewhat reserved in their opinion on this. With most new Sims 4 expansion packs, I usually hone in on one or two aspects I like, but with its new fun occult type, a wonderful new world, and unique build and cast items, Enchanted by Nature is a rare Sims 4 pack that feels complete. I can appreciate that players who prefer the dollhouse style of Sims 4 might find the amount of cast and build items lacking, but Enchanted by Nature is fun and I can live with that. So it's just kind of interesting because it is mostly positive, but it also sounds somewhat resigned. It's just kind of strange. As far as players overall, I think that players don't hate this pack and they don't necessarily love it. It does seem like very mixed reviews so far, but honestly, as I've covered before, there are some issues they need to work out, especially the issues with ailments just basically taking over. But beyond that, I would love to know your opinions in the comments below. What do you think about the different poll results and why they're so different? Which of these reviews do you align with, or any of them? And as always, please take care and I'll see you in the next video.